Sorry, honey.
What I find hard about reality shows is that I struggle to believe it.
Do you want me to burst your bubble?
Go for it.
Well, not. My husband hasn't.
Do you want to burst their bubbles? Join me, Sasha Pieterse, on Women in the Nude, Season 2, where we bear it all except for our bodies. Leave that to your imagination. Welcome to Women in the Nude. Amanda, this is Amanda Jacoby. I'm
Hello.
so glad that you're here.
Thank
you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having
me. I really appreciate that. I was telling you earlier, this is actually a very special episode because even though I talk about hippie water all the time, I've never actually had somebody in the industry also on the podcast. So you work for a company called Uncle Arnie's.
I do.
Huge fan of them and their team. They really are a great group of people. And the first thing I asked him, though, one of the founders, was, do you have any cool women on your team? And I was so excited that, you came to mind immediately. And that makes me really happy. There's not a lot of women in this industry.
No.
We're growing slowly but surely. But I'm super stoked to meet anybody that's in the field. That is great to talk to. So
Likewise.
Could you tell me about your position?
Yes, of course. Well,
Awesome.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
So like you said, I work for an amazing company called Uncle Arnie's, and we're a cannabis beverage.
Yeah.
Like I was saying earlier, it's such an interesting part of the business because it's a very small portion. It's only 2% of cannabis sales. So it's a very niche little market. But what's awesome and super exciting and why I love my job so much, it's really the only growing category. Which
Absolutely.
is wonderful, exciting, especially in this volatile,
scary
market in California. Hemp's different, obviously, but it's a great company, and I've been learning a lot, and I'm learning more every single day. But it's awesome. I love Uncle Arnie's.
Yeah,
can't wait for y'all to try it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those things where there's so much opportunity in this space, like you're saying, that you feel, at least I won't put words in your mouth, but I feel like I'm doing two things all the time. I'm educating people that it's even possible to drink cannabis.
Yes.
And then the flip side is convincing them to try it, right? And convincing them that this is something that should be everywhere.
Yes.
So it's an interesting journey. And we are, as you were saying, on the hemp side, that's a little bit different. We have our own struggles. But overall, I've thoroughly enjoyed being in the industry. And I never, ever would have thought that I would be getting into this.
Isn't that funny?
I signed Dare. I was like, not that girl. Throwback. So this, I guess,
it too.
Yeah, there you go. See? I guess my first question then in that way is like, what brought you to the cannabis industry? Like, what was your...
Great question. So full disclosure, like I'm not like what I call like a weed connoisseur.
Me neither.
Not at all, like whatsoever. So to backtrack quite a bit, I was always in the hair world. I worked at L'Oreal for
your
many,
hair
many
is
moons.
beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So was yours.
Thanks.
And just without boring you, I was just ready for something new. And it was like the middle of COVID. Everyone was kind of changing things up in their life. And I just like straight up quit. And
good for you.
I was like, I won all the awards and yada, yada, President's Club. And I was like, I want to do something new, something more forward thinking. I didn't know what it was. And I quit kind of without a plan, which is crazy because I had a little baby at the time, but that's okay. And my friend worked at a flower company running sales, and it was an easy shoe. And he was like, come work for my company.
Awesome.
And
flower is not the type of flower that you
flower,
think.
Meaning marijuana, weed, what you smoke, because that's safe to say. So I worked for a flower brand for a couple years, and same thing. I was like, you know what? I want to just do something. Just like I keep saying, wanting to say the word more forward thinking. Just there's so much flower everywhere. It's such a race to the bottom. It's such a struggle, especially in California. Yeah. And I was just kind of strolling online and came across Uncle Arnie's. Fast forward, they had a position open. Here I am, and it is the best thing that has ever happened to me.
That's awesome.
For so many reasons. One of them being just it's a beverage. Like, how cool. Again, it's only 2%. Not many people know about it.
Yeah.
That makes it really scary because, you know, the unknown is scary, but it's amazing.
Yeah.
I can take a little sip of my drink and takes the edge off. I don't
Yeah.
have to worry about smoke in front of my kids.
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about my lungs.
Hangover.
Hangover.
Yeah.
None of that. So that's how I ended up at Uncle Arnie's.
That's so cool.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's such a unique industry. But you were saying your kids. So my son is 4.
Mhm.
He was unintentionally a COVID baby. We got pregnant and 2 weeks later the world shut down.
Wonderful.
But you then you had your daughter, son?
I have 2 boys.
2 boys.
Yes.
Love it.
Yep.
Boy mom. So he would have been 1.5?
Yeah.
2?
He was about 1 and some change when
It's crazy.
it all locked down.
Yeah. That's so wild. And good for you for taking that step.
Yeah.
In a way, like at least you couldn't really go anywhere.
Yeah.
Anywhere.
Completely.
And how did that dynamic shift?
You know, it was an interesting shift because I quit something that I was at the top of, which is very scary.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I was, like I said earlier, I was just ready for a change. I'm always ready for a new challenge. There were people at my past company, L'Oreal, that were there for, 25 years, and that's wonderful for them if that's their path, but it was definitely not mine. Even being a mom, like a lot of times moms just want like the safest option or, you know, so just something very, very easy. And I guess I like a challenge. So I decided to quit with no plans.
It's all good.
But it all worked out for the best.
Right.
It always does.
Which is, a good motivator to like, if you are wanting to shift and make a different step, like go for it, especially for happiness, for all the reasons. Like
completely.
Yeah.
Yep. It's so scary, but when you look back in your life, you realize, oh, that happened for that reason, and that's why I'm here now. So,
and then you can tell your boys one day that you did it for this reason, and you went for it, and
totally.
I
And by
think
the
that's
time
special.
the boys ask, it won't be an issue.
Right.
It shouldn't be an issue now, but it still is for some reason.
It's so ridiculous,
right?
Yeah.
It's funny too because a lot of the moms at our school, I'm still meeting new people or their second year in elementary school, and what do you do for a living? And it's funny because I tell them I don't care.
Yeah.
And it's amazing that I would say probably majority of them are like, oh wow,
okay,
like they don't want to talk about it. But now that you brought it up,
right.
I like my gummies when, the kids go to bed or before they go to bed because I don't have to worry about smoking a joint in front of them.
Yep.
So it is very interesting to see all the, I'm going to say moms because that's typically who I'm talking to. It's interesting that a lot of moms consume.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like you said, they just don't really talk about it.
No.
Yeah.
They don't.
So you started the conversation. It's different. I'm going to throw my sister-in-law under the bus here. Not really. But she's a great example of this where like I never would have pegged her and my brother-in-law for taking a gummy.
Yeah.
And I don't remember. It was like we went over one night. This is a couple years ago before Hendrix. And my brother-in-law was like, yeah, I'm going to take some, And I was like, what?
You?
And
or taking a gummy?
My sister-in-law was like, yeah, we do it fairly often. And it's that thing where like never have they mentioned it before, but we had just gone over to hang out and, have dinner or whatever. And it was the end of the night. And I was blown away. And that was before we even, hippie water was ever even a dream. That was before Hendrix, like all the things.
Yep.
And that was, I think, like one of the second or third times I had tried cannabis. And even at that time, it still felt very weird.
Yeah.
And not natural for me.
Yeah.
But what was funny was that I hardly felt anything.
Okay.
Everybody started giggling.
Yeah.
Everybody started giggling, and I just kept waiting.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the night that I realized that I, for whatever reason, have a higher tolerance for cannabis, even though it was never something that I did normally, which was the same with alcohol. Which means I'm expensive.
This is
true. And I think that is also part of the challenge when it comes to cannabis is that it affects everybody differently.
Completely.
But in that same notion, like, so does alcohol.
Completely.
And we are so used to talking about alcohol and normalizing it in our day-to-day life that, you know, it's second nature. We don't think about it. And then you talk about cannabis and it's more like a surprise. Well, it affects you this way and it affects me that way. And it's talked about, you know, either very positively or very negatively. And those negatives are hilarious to me because there's such double standards. And so working out all of those things, both in myself and in our business, has been pretty interesting. And in our company, the 4 co-founders, we all consume cannabis on different levels. And so, you know, our CPO, who is a food scientist, I would say out of the 4 of us consumes the most. And I'm definitely the one that consumes the least. And it's nice to have that combination because we understand our consumer a lot better.
Yes.
And kind of getting into the industry, obviously, when I started, I was accepting the fact that, like, now people are going to know that I've, you know, cannabis or I'm using cannabis.
Well, that's funny because even you, who has your own brand now, you were like, a little nervous.
And it wasn't, and I was not nervous about new people. I was nervous about everybody else in my life. And that dawned on me as pretty sad.
Right.
And you question yourself, like, why? And obviously there's stigma in the industry, but, you know, should I care about what so-and-so thinks? No, absolutely not.
No.
This is a better choice for me. This is a healthier choice for me. They might not understand it right now, but they should hopefully understand it later.
Yes.
Do you want to try it? You know, like, it's so much better for you. It truly is the way that is the not having to compromise, which everything like that sounds too good to be true when you promote it that way, but it truly is the opposite of alcohol. Other than the fact that it gives you that little bit of relief. But ours is just better because you don't have all the other side effects.
No hangover.
No hangover. It's brilliant.
It's wonderful.
And that parental side is a beautiful thing. Being able to kind of wind down, relax, and then sleep better and, you know, be more refreshed is such an incredible combination. And so it's been a life changer for me. And being on the business side of it, as much as it's a big challenge, it makes it all worth it.
Of course.
And I love that you have that story too, because I always say that, you know, our product is a selfish product. That's where it started. And I think the best products do. And so every employee that we've brought on, it's been a question. And it's never like you can't get hired if you don't enjoy cannabis. That's never been it. It's been like, how does this affect your life? What are your opinions on it? You know, how do you integrate it? Do you integrate it at all? Everybody has a different reason. And all of our employees have a different reason. And just like our 4 founders, I love that. Different levels, different reasons, parents, work, you know, even just like alcoholism in a family, like not wanting to follow in those footsteps. Like everybody has a different reason. And I think that's really special. And it makes them love the brand that they're working for and the industry that they're working for so much more. And when you have that reason, you just go farther. So I love that you have your reason for Uncle Arnie's. And I think that that's really special. Not to say that you're not enjoying Uncle Arnie's, but as far as the industry goes, like, where do you see that career path for you?
You know, and it's one of the reasons why I'm so happy to be in the beverage space because it's booming.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like I'm the key account manager for California, so I work on the rec side and the medical side. We have a whole different department that does hemp. But that said, I mean, there's so many different avenues I can go to within our company. I was I think the 8th employee. No, 10th, whatever. I was early.
Yeah.
And now we're, my coworker yesterday just told me we hired 8 more people in other states. So now we're like 30 people or something.
It's crazy.
Which is wild for cannabis. Like, unfortunately, there's been the opposite in many other companies.
Or very fast turnovers.
Yeah. Yes, or fast turnover. So I'm very fortunate that there's a career path where I'm at. So I don't know where it's going to take me, but I'm so happy right now. And who knows? And unfortunately, so much of it is at the mercy of the government. And, you know, one day when it turns on federally, that's going to be a beautiful thing.
Yep.
One day, someday, maybe never. I don't know. But
Yeah. It should happen.
Yeah, it should. The hemp thing has been incredible, and it's so exciting to see. But yeah.
Speaking on that, like we've had there are a lot of companies that started in marijuana that are either adding a hemp site or switching to hemp.
Yes.
And I have this I feel like an unfair feeling because I jumped in. It wasn't something that I used recreationally for a long time, and I'm jumping into the industry and learning all about it, and kind of in ways on the spot, in ways not. But it feels unfair to talk negatively about the marijuana business or the side of it because it's like they paved the way.
Oh, for sure.
The amount of history that goes into marijuana when you talk about criminalization, like every little piece and where we are now, we would not be there without that fight. And the hemp side of it in so many ways is kind of like, it sucks. It's such a great opportunity, but it also still sucks because we get a lot of benefits that the marijuana side does not. And I find it refreshing to also talk to companies that are doing both because that's the bridge, in my opinion.
Yes.
Companies that aren't, it's very much like the marijuana versus hemp fight.
Yes.
And we're like fighting each other when that's the worst thing that we can be doing.
Fully. But I do think because we have both products.
Yeah, Uncle Arnie's is doing
we have both hemp and rec medical. I think it's, at least with our product, it's a very different client.
Totally.
So that right there, we're not stepping on each other's toes necessarily.
Right. Yeah.
The products that I sell are very high in milligrams. Like our average product is about 100 milligrams, where the hemp side, I'd say
we're 5 milligrams.
Yeah, 5 is, well, and then you're capped out with like laws in different states and whatnot.
Yes,
but I think 5 is like the average.
Yeah.
So it's a very different client for that reason alone. The cool part about the products that I sell, and this is, again, just you said, a few minutes ago about trying to educate people, because that's ultimately what it is. And again, laws stop us from, being able to market and whatnot. So again, another little roadblock we have to get through. But I just take a little sip of mine. So granted, mine are 100 milligrams. I do not consume that in one sitting.
Please don't do that unless
a lot of people do. So you do you, boo, if that's your thing. But
I'm not that. I don't have that type of high tolerance. Just so that we're clear.
I don't either. But then I love it because I can just take a sip.
Yeah.
And the edge is off in honestly 10, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Which is a wonderful thing.
Yeah. If whoever's watching this doesn't know, what's great about drinking it is the fact that it's very similar to that head high or how fast that comes on, because you don't have to wait 2, 3, 4 hours for it to kick in. It starts almost immediately, and it's like that 15, 20 minute onset.
Yep. It goes through your bloodstream, where a gummy, and I'm not talking trash about gummies, I still consume them. It takes longer because it goes into your stomach. Your body has to break it down. So when I was first educated about the product, when I was first starting, it was so fascinating.
Yeah.
Because I was just nerding out, honestly.
The science behind it.
Yeah, exactly. So it's incredible. Yeah. For that reason.
So yes, exactly. Like it goes through your system in a different way. It's way better when it comes to like being social and whatever that means for you, or whether that's just your nightly routine. It's way easier to dose yourself, like you're saying. I can just take a sip. It's way easier to control, and you know what to expect. And I think a lot of people have a bad first experience with gummies or something that's super strong. And so like that taints their entire experience on what it could be for them.
Completely. And same with beverage.
For
people
sure.
See 100 milligrams, they're like, what? No.
Or it tastes really good and they drink way more than
more than
they should. So, and that goes back to that, like everybody has their own tolerance. Everybody, dependence on what you want it for, all the things. So there is this fun thing, and I'm working on my TikTok stuff because I enjoy the idea of it and I get the appeal, but I am so terrible at like actually creating content that in that manner. So we're just gonna go for it. There's a trend, and it's who's your dream blunt rotation, which I think is really fun.
Oh God.
But let's switch it up.
Okay.
And make it our cannabis drink rotation.
I like that.
I won't put the pressure on you first. My first instinct is always Snoop Dogg, and you're welcome to steal that. But actually, I think Kendrick Lamar, because I'm a huge fan of him, and
I like
how
that.
cool would that be? So that's going to be my first one.
That'd be incredible.
Yep.
I mean, I have to say Snoop just out of like...
I know, respect,
I mean,
right?
it's just a common theme, obviously. But for the sake of saying somebody else, ooh, who would I like to drink a beverage with?
Ooh, I've got another one.
Wait, you guys got to give me one. I'm like totally blanking. You know what's coming to mind, which is hilarious? My mom.
That's a great answer.
Yeah.
Does not have to be a celebrity. Yeah.
But I want to think of a celebrity, so give me a few minutes.
No, but I think that's really cute for a second. Yeah, I was
well,
going to say,
what's so funny about my mom is she's never smoked weed in her life, which I fully believe. However, when she comes to LA, she's coming tomorrow, by the way.
Yeah.
She's always looking around to see where my edibles are.
Oh, so she's twisting the narrative there.
Never smoked weed in her life. I'm like, okay, but you eat edibles.
That's really
every
cute.
night when you're in LA.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
That's really
Got
cute.
it.
That she's keeping that that in her back pocket, that innocence that she can tell somebody.
Yes,
but that's a little white lie.
Yes, that is.
We all have white lies,
and that's okay.
And that's adorable.
Yep, it is. So I think I need to give her some Uncle Arnie's tomorrow.
I was gonna say, yeah, I think that's fair.
Or some hippie water. Maybe I'll start with that.
Yeah.
Let's not go straight for the 100.
At least it's lower. Yeah, for sure. That's really cute and really funny. My next one, I think would be Dolly Parton.
Oh,
I don't know if she would ever do it. I don't know if she ever does, but that could be really fun. Wouldn't that be so cool?
That's a great combo.
I love Dolly. I would have said my mom as well, actually, but I actually got her to drink hippie water recently.
Oh, you did?
Which was also shocking.
And
both,
how was
both
it?
my parents do. And that, like my dad, good. She likes it because it'll help her sleep.
Yeah.
She's got major back pain and stuff. But my dad has never smoked. He never drank alcohol. Like he was anti all of that. Not like judging other people for doing it, but it was just
not interesting.
Crazy. Like no family history. There's nothing like no real reason other than like he didn't like the taste. And so like, why do it sort of a thing?
Yeah.
Which, hey, I respect. But he tried hippie water and then was like, then he finished it. And I was like, I could not believe that he tried it. And then I couldn't believe that he finished it. And then I couldn't believe that he wanted some in his fridge always.
Okay.
And now somebody that was like anti all of it vocally is now talking about it as much as he possibly can, trying to get other people to try it and like super proud of it.
I love that,
which I think is a super fun journey. So I like the mom aspect. I think that is
I like that a
really
lot.
cool. I want to keep this going because this actually fascinates me, especially like the mom thing. Like, who do you share it with? Like, I think that's really important and cool because I think word of mouth as well is a very big part of our industry. So I want to hear about your cannabis beverage rotation. So 2 little boys.
Yes.
We are both in the thick of it when it comes to this age group. Do you notice a difference between your boys when it comes to like those first couple years, like COVID versus kind of being out of it?
No, not really. We were fortunate that we had jobs during COVID, and I feel bad saying this, but I'm not going to feel bad. We had a decent experience. My husband and I, instead of being out in the field or in the office all day long, we switched to work from home. We're still in that case. So it's been a beautiful thing for that reason.
Yeah.
We can spend way more time with our kids. We had one at the time, but we were very fortunate in that case, like when a lot of people weren't.
Yeah.
So I feel very thankful for that.
I agree. Similar position. I mean, I was pregnant, but I was able to hibernate.
Yeah.
And we were super lucky to be in that position. But I think, I don't think there's any harm in acknowledging the good and the bad of those situations because it's also like so many people reevaluated their lives.
Completely.
And I think a lot of, from that, I think a lot of good happened, a lot of adjustments.
Yeah, completely.
I mean, my job is all over the place. And so my husband and I are used to spending like 24/7 together, which is super awesome. A lot of couples struggled with that during COVID because they'd never spent that much time together before.
Right.
And so I think there is, a lot of quiet chaos in so many ways with COVID. But my kid is so outgoing. It's ridiculous. Like
That's amazing.
I was, pregnant during 2020, but like 2021, depending on where you're at, people were still very much in the thick of it.
Yes.
2022, it's not like it just like went away.
Right.
And he is completely unfazed. Like he will never remember it that way. Obviously he was really little, but just in general, like a lot of kids struggled with not being able to socialize and not being able to see people and all of that. I think all of my only regret as far as like experiences go during that time was that I wasn't able to celebrate milestones with my friends and family like I normally would.
Of course.
But I mean, thank my lucky stars. Other than that, I would not trade that. And I have been able to spend so much more time with the family and moments that I think would be very different had that not been the case.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And at some point they had each other.
Yeah.
How is the transition from 1 to 2 been?
Oh, geez. My second one is a wild child. Yes. I have 2 boys to remind you. So, boys are a little bit more wild than girls from what I understand.
They are.
At least my friends that have girls. I can see the difference, okay?
Yeah, exactly.
When I volunteer in class, I can see the difference.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so it's not just my 2 boys, but they love each other, which is a beautiful thing.
Good.
And now that my 2-year-old, he's almost 2.5, so he's just, less baby. You kind of remember when they just come out of that babiness. Which is wonderful because they can play together.
Yeah.
But he picks up stuff from the older one.
Right.
Which is
crazy. It seems like he's more advanced. Yeah. Yeah.
It's great for many reasons, but not great for many reasons.
Totally.
Like my 6-year-old can jump, from the couch to the couch cushion.
Yeah.
But then the 2-year-old's doing it. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
You're going to bounce off hit the coffee table like that.
It's crazy.
So it's just very different, but it's a wonderful thing. It's beautiful and
good.
It's awesome to see. Yeah. Yeah.
We're one and done, but so many of our friends are like onto their second and, or third at that point. And it's a funny change. I can see it in my friends where like the dynamic has totally shifted and naturally so.
Yeah.
And not for like better or for worse. It's just, it's different now.
New chapter.
But I always knew that there was a big difference between boys and girls just naturally. Like we would walk into our friend's house and there are just certain things that girls don't care about or don't get into, or are very particular about. And my son is also much taller than most kids his age. My husband's 6'5", and so right now he's the height of a 6-year-old.
Yep.
Which is just wild. And so he's always been tall. And so this one example is that my friends never had to like really worry about knives or scissors, not because they're irresponsible parents. They are very responsible parents, but like Monroe just like that was not her thing.
Yeah.
Like she was worried about other things. And Hendrix came into the room or into their kitchen and was like, oh, and just like picked the knife up.
Yeah.
Like
and
right
he's tall,
by the
so
sink.
he can reach it.
Exactly. And we were like, ah!
Yeah.
And just certain things are not baby proofs. Like you baby proof your kids' areas for what they get into. You don't necessarily think about everything. Or the fact that like he went over to her cute little play kitchen and was just like destroyed it in seconds. And you could just tell like she was just like,
what?
My plates go here, my cups go here. And he was just like,
you're so right.
Yeah, but girls very often are like little mental terrorists.
Oh, yes.
So they might not be wild as far as like, visually wild, but they figure out how to get their way in every other sense.
Yep.
And they are generally speaking, not always, generally speaking, more intelligent at that age compared to the boys. The boys are just lazy or they don't care or they
don't listen.
They don't listen, whatever their reason is. And I'm being facetious here, but like,
no, of course.
You can tell that they're like, oh, really, I can't believe you're doing that.
My friend has a boy and a girl, and she's like, my daughter gets herself, she's 4 or 5, whatever. She's 4 or 5. Gets herself dressed in the morning before school, brushes her teeth.
Yep.
I mean, I will say on occasion she might have like 5 outfit changes before 7 a.m. But more or less, she's ready for school every day, we're at the front door. And then her son, similar to my kids, dragging ass.
Yep.
Like,
shoes on the wrong feet, maybe.
Yeah, you know the drill.
Yeah.
Like, where's my shoes? They're literally right in front of him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're different.
They're different. Hendrix will literally be like, something that's not like my shoe, but it'll be like, where's my cup? And he's like literally looking at it. I'm like, it's right there. And he's like, where?
Drinking out of it.
Like,
yeah. It's very fun.
Yeah. Yeah. But there are definitely things like that I won't trade. And yes, I don't have a girl, so I don't know the difference. And I know that if we had a girl, I would be feeling the same way. But I really enjoy being a boy mom. It's really fun. And I bow down to all of my friends that have girls because it's hard in very different ways.
It's all hard.
Exactly. It's all
honestly
hard.
Is.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's rewarding. It's all the things.
Yeah, absolutely. How does working from home work for you? Because we're currently pretty much doing that, where we're both at home, and that is a challenge because it's wonderful in so many ways, but also he knows that we're there, and so when we can't, play,
is he home?
He's home.
Okay.
Yeah, my mom nannies for us.
Amazing.
Which is also a very privileged situation. Like, I'm so glad that I can have her there, but that creates a different dynamic.
My kids aren't home. My older one is in elementary, and the smaller one goes to like a preschool situation. Nice. So they're not home, but I couldn't do it. Like
it's a lot.
Even with like before he went to the preschool, he was with a nanny at our house.
Yeah.
My brain,
since
becoming a mother,
yeah,
and then a mother of two, just it's a little different.
Yeah,
but I can't focus.
Right, like if there's a noise or something, like you can't. Yeah,
it's weird. It's the craziest thing. It's not weird. It's just whatever. It's just it's me now. It's who I am. A little crazy. It's all good. But I can't
use
focus.
it to our advantage.
Yes, we sure do. Yeah, they're not home.
Yeah.
They're not home. Yeah. But if they were, it wouldn't work if they were.
I'm asking because it is a challenge right now.
Yeah, it is. Kudos to you.
I mean, yes and no.
You're home.
Yeah. Our situation is that if I have to travel for work, we're kind of like, we can't just like pull them out of school all the time.
Right.
So that's become a little bit of it. That's more so the reason that we're doing it.
Right.
And both my husband and I were homeschooled, so we know what that is like, the good and the bad, and like what to avoid. But it's a challenge because he knows we're there, so it's like he asks for something and he wants to ask us and not, or doesn't understand why like we can't play, and it's like breaking my heart. And so
totally get it.
I think he's at the point where he's starting to understand, but like I feel guilty. Totally. I feel guilty about that. And he's getting into the swing of things, and it's more normal now. But
it's such a mind F because that's all you want in life. And in my case, thank God for COVID because we are all working from home. Or we all, my husband and I, we're working from home now. So while the kids aren't home anymore, God forbid the school calls, we can go get them. So there's a lot to be grateful and thankful for.
The flexibility there is,
But then I remember the times when they were home or, these kids have a day off of school every other week. It seems like there's always some teacher prepping day, which is fine. We love our teachers. But even that, it's like I'm working still. So those days,
that doesn't change.
It's such a push-pull. Like I'm happy I'm able to just be home, but I'm like, I can't go in the backyard and play baseball for 5 hours like you want. I love you, but So it's a challenge. And they know you're home. And then at 4, when they can't fully grasp it, it's like, no, I want my mom to give me lunch, not grandma. Yeah. So it's all mine.
Yeah. I think it's so my husband and I go back and forth on this all the time where I'm like, I'm the one saying it or then he's the one saying it to try and comfort each other, which is that he doesn't understand right now, but later he will understand the concept of like needing to go to work.
Yeah.
Like right now it's hard to explain, but eventually it's going to be like mommy and daddy are doing this for this reason. And like anybody that he talks to that is his age will be like, yeah, my parents work too. And it's like that concept will be understood later.
Yes.
That it's a part of life. It might look different in every family, but it's still like a concept of like, this has to be done so that, we get that toy, so that we get, that bed, so that we get, it's just, sorry. The concept will be something that will be understood later. So like we're guilty. We feel guilty now, but we're doing what we can, what we think is best. And like, it's okay.
Completely.
But, you know, he'll be in therapy for something. We do our best.
For sure. We're going to mess him
We
up
all do
somehow.
our best. Exactly.
So just do your best, and
yeah.
that's all you can do.
Yeah, exactly.
Drink some hippie water, some Uncle Arnie's in the meantime. Just chill out. It's
chill
fine.
out. Yeah. Yeah, we do what we can. And you were saying your husband is a producer.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah. So, what if entertainment?
Yeah, unscripted specifically.
Unscripted. Okay. Yeah. So he's got also like one of those. I call it. It's like summer camp, but then it's also like a seasonal industry.
Yeah.
I say it that way because you're like you never know if you're going to be like working or not.
Totally.
It's like,
totally.
you know, how long has he been doing that?
His whole career.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it's hard to get out of once you're in it.
Totally.
Yeah.
He's worked his way up to executive, so he mainly works from home. He doesn't go on set anymore,
which is nice.
Which is really nice. One of his buddies is still doing the on-set life, and it takes a toll. I can't speak to it firsthand, but you know
what happens.
Takes a toll.
And off the clock. Yeah.
And there's a lot of like, oh, how am I gonna have kids one day?
Right.
Like he's in Atlanta right now, and I think he's going to Dallas next month. So
yeah,
it's a lot. So I'm fortunate that he's at the place where he can be just in LA.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. It's a different life, and I love it. Like being on set is my happy place. But it is definitely that nomadic lifestyle. And producers have a totally different type of stress. And I say that because I'm also starting to produce. So it's like, you know, I've been in the industry for 25 years and have been able to understand a lot of different roles as far as like career paths go within the industry. And I'm always loving learning more. But yeah, that producer side is no joke. And yes, there are different forms, different versions. And I'm happy to hear that he's at that point. Because there's an aspect of loving being on set, but at the same time, there's a different joy in being able to like produce something and not have to
completely
be in the craziness all the time if you don't want to. Yeah, exactly. It's cool. It's really great.
Yeah,
and unscripted is a whole other level
for sure.
Did he ever do music videos?
No.
Okay, good.
Okay, good.
I say that because
he did not know.
Yeah, Hudson, my husband, has done versions of producing also in his career, social media, all the things. But way back when he was like a PA earning like $150 in 24 hours,
right?
Bottom of the barrel, literally first one there, first one that
first job.
Yeah, PAing is brutal.
Yeah.
Specifically on music videos, because often, you know, there's not necessarily a union for that. Most of it's not union, and they just do things that are not good, like being able to drive a truck somewhere when you are not licensed to drive that type of truck.
Alrighty.
And like, you know, lots of things. Yeah, he did. But I don't remember the longest shift. It was something stupid, like it was like 23 hours or something that like, you know, obviously hadn't had any sleep, definitely wasn't fed in a nice way. Doing things like running, you know, back and forth in a way that like if he got into an accident or something like that, was pulled over, like he would get in trouble. Lots of different random things. And that was a P. Diddy, Mariah Carey music video. That particular one that I'm talking about. And nothing against Mariah, but like it was in her house. So it was like, oh, there were like pictures of her and Nick Cannon naked. Like, you know, it's just like butt ass naked. You know, just certain things that like anybody else in a different job description, you're like, I'm not kidding. Like this is
really
going to work, you know? This is not your, you know, your office job. Like what a different type of like environment.
No.
It is just it's just part of this industry where it's like there's just things that like other people don't normally experience. So that's not to trash Mariah. Like you go, girl.
Love her. Just saw her in Vegas.
Yeah, absolutely. Legend.
Yeah.
Through and through. The reason I said that is because of the type of industry, that type of industry, they often don't regulate things. And so like that particular experience, he fell asleep at the wheel on the way home. Thankfully, it was on an on-ramp and it was completely stopped and he just rolled in the person in front of him. But he was like, obviously that woke him up. And he was like, I can't do this. And he pulled over and slept. But it's like that type of thing that it's like they're expected to perform at a ridiculous level, get paid nothing, and it's at the risk it's at their own risk, basically. It's like risking their health, risking their life, risking things that are truly not worth it.
Wow.
Just to get, into a position that's like halfway decent. And figuring out, what's worth it and what's not. But the music industry is brutal. And then unscripted is a whole other level too. Lots of personalities that you're dealing with, lots of problem solving, lots of, it's a different world. And, it's fun though. There's an aspect of fun there. Otherwise we wouldn't be doing it. Like, yes,
sure.
Money, but also fun. Like, it truly is something that you're from every department, something that's so difficult to get out of because there's something that keeps bringing you back. And I think it's also a lot of trauma bonding, to be honest. To be honest, there's a significant amount of trauma bonding. It's like, we went through that together. We could go through anything.
Yes, indeed.
But it's another level to be somebody's partner and not be in that industry. So like, what would you say is the hardest part? Like, sure, travel maybe, but like what on the other side is the most difficult?
Me being married to a producer?
Yeah.
This is what's coming to mind. It's not exactly difficult, but the funny part is I rarely watch TV.
Yep.
Like almost, I don't watch TV, just generally speaking.
I don't have time right now.
Same.
Yeah. Yeah.
The kids are in bed. I'm tired. I'm done. I'm going to bed.
Yeah.
So that's the funniest part because
anything that he does, you're like, I don't know.
Like, I've never seen it.
Yeah.
Not
There's
entirely
no
true, okay? I'm a supportive wife, obviously.
And of course.
I make sure it's recorded for, what's the word?
To like get the views. And there you go. Yeah. You're helping it out. I know what you mean. I didn't explain it correctly, but I know what you mean. Yeah.
So that is quite funny because I don't watch TV. And that's what my husband does for a living. And who doesn't love a reality show?
Yeah.
Everyone. I don't partake in that.
I'm not a reality person either.
Same.
The ones that I do like, but again, I don't have time for this anymore. The ones that I would watch before Hendrix were like Naked and Afraid.
Oh my God, are you serious? That's funny.
I would say the one that I actually did watch, because I do like the social experiment aspect of some reality shows. Not like in the Bachelor way. Again, nothing wrong.
Yeah,
The Bachelor. But the Circle on Netflix. Did you see that one?
I
That one was really interesting, and it's based on like you never see the other people in the game, so it's kind of like that.
Was it game
what is that
show-ish?
blind site one? Yeah, I mean, there's a prize at the end.
Oh, okay.
I don't think there was really a host. Now that I think about it, there's no host. So I think it came out during COVID because I think they were able to kind of do that, where you have no access to the outside world. So it's like that Big Brother thing where like you don't, for that
Locked
2
up.
weeks or month or whatever. And they like shoot it in an apartment building and they never meet until the very end. And people get eliminated and there's like team building and sort of.
That's a good way to put it.
You get voted out, and it's like there's voting involved. There's also this, but anyway, what makes it fascinating is there's always something that like ends up being romantic, like
of course,
it's
a reality
basically
show.
Right, exactly, between like two people or whatever, and it's comical in that way, but. The main thing that's fascinating about it is that you can decide if you could be whatever you want to be. So you could be yourself and try and convince people that you are actually yourself, or you could pretend to be somebody else. So you could pretend to you could totally catfish somebody in every aspect.
Check it out.
Which is fascinating. And then they all meet at the end. I think what I find hard about reality shows is that I struggle to believe it.
Do you want me to burst your bubble?
Go for it.
Well, not my husband hasn't.
Do you want to burst their bubbles?
He hasn't done every single reality show in the world. He does a lot of male-driven content, so I will never forget when we first met. He did this show called Axemen. It was like based out of Florida or something, Everglades, something like that.
Like survival-y.
Yeah. I don't remember, so long ago. But he was showing me a clip and they were like wrestling the snake and the buy you whatever. He was like, I bought that at the pet shop 10 minutes before and set up the whole scene.
That's
So
amazing.
maybe he ruined it for me. Maybe my husband ruined reality shows.
Maybe.
Reality TV for me.
So much of it's fake.
Yeah.
And I think most people know that there is an aspect that is fake.
Yeah.
But I think you get invested in like the love story or the, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And I understand. And I mean, technically every sort of entertainment is a version of escapism. So if that's your choice, like,
sure.
No judgment. When I sit there and watch it, I'm like, can't get behind it. You know what's like that is Selling Sunset.
Oh.
And that's sort of a guilty pleasure. I think I watched the first 2 seasons and I get it. I get the charm and the like frustration of like, how are you this way sort of a thing. And the cool houses and like, I understand why that one is popular.
Yeah.
But that one makes me laugh because yes, they're technically a real estate group.
Right.
But they are faking the prices a lot of the time.
I'm sure.
So I'd be like, that's funny. That house was on Zillow and it was like $5 million less than what you're pretending it is. So there's that type of thing where I'm like, it's so I just can't watch it.
Yeah, everything's just a little exaggerated, we'll call it.
Just a little. And actually, I know people that have been on The Bachelor, which is also really funny.
No way.
They like old like high school friends. I was like, that's so weird.
How funny.
That is so weird.
My husband's friend did that show for many, many years. And I found out it's shot in 6 weeks.
Yeah.
How are you going to find your husband in 6 weeks?
Well, that's the thing.
30 babes and one guy.
It's just the actual way that is set up is just
How many have lasted?
Weird.
A couple? The most?
I think there's more than you would expect. I think
okay.
there's like 3 or 4. They might not all
3
be
or 4
together anymore. Like
how many
maybe
seasons?
they got
I think 20 something.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah. I mean, but that brings me to my next thing, which was these are the types of reality shows I like, which is the hoarders.
Oh my God.
Like that stuff.
Oh.
Or the My Strange Addiction. That was another fun one. Like, are you really eating your couch? Are you really drinking your pee? Like, that's so weird.
It's very weird.
Oh,
okay.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. So I always thought, I was like, how do you not know that you're pregnant? I always thought that was fake. However, I recently had a friend who did not find out she was pregnant.
One too.
Do you really?
Yeah.
So
I'm jealous.
Yeah. Well, so it didn't go that far.
Months.
So my friend was 6 months.
Yeah.
That's really funny. And in her situation, she had never had a normal period, and her daughter was, I think, 5 months at the time. So it was still she's still breastfeeding, so it's fairly normal that she like hadn't gotten her period yet.
Right.
And she was just getting so bloated, and she was trying to figure out. She was like, maybe like, everything has changed. Maybe I'm like kind of allergic to gluten now. Like she was changing everything, trying to figure out what was going on. It never ever like crossed her mind that she could potentially be pregnant. Like they were done. They had 2. They changed the 3rd bedroom into something else. Like they were like done.
I'm sweating.
And I know. And so she was kind of like, maybe I should just take a pregnancy test just to be, just to rule it off.
Yeah.
Like rule it out.
Yeah.
Because her friends kept saying, like, we just kept saying, like, maybe you should.
Yeah. Rule it out.
Sure enough, she was pregnant.
Okay.
She goes to the doctor expecting to be like a couple, like 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, maybe. They're like, you have a whole baby in there. That baby is like, it was over 20 weeks. Yeah. Like, get ready.
Wild.
And well,
up to 6 months, like during pregnancy.
There's certain things that like, I mean, yes and no. Like knowing the sex if you want to, that's not a big one.
Right.
That's obviously preference. But like any of your like DNA tests that you would do or your genetic tests that you would do, figuring out if you have like foods you shouldn't eat, like of course, like, and also like alcohol and that sort of thing. She was lucky in her case, she was still breastfeeding. So she was very aware of like still what she was putting in her body. And she's an overall very healthy person. But that's what is also funny is like, you would never look at her and be like, she's 6 months pregnant. So that's the thing that's so odd about those situations. It's like, where is the baby? Like, where did you put it? How are you?
I was not like that for either.
Me, I was definitely not. And so it was just fascinating to then come across somebody and be like, okay, it does happen. And I mean, all of her friends would never have guessed that she was 6 months pregnant.
So
We thought maybe it's a possibility, but like never
wild.
that. What about, wait, what was your case?
Same exact story.
Okay.
One of our friends at school now, I didn't know her at the time when she was pregnant, but they have one daughter, and same thing. She found out when she was 6 months pregnant, and I'm like, how? Who? What? Why?
Right.
And then I'm like, you bitch, you were only pregnant for 3 months?
Right. You only mentally were like needed to go through that for
Yeah.
and that's what is also wild to me. And I think there are just some women that handle pregnancy better. Like their body just doesn't go as crazy as others. Mine went quite crazy.
Yeah.
And I think her placenta was in the front. So that was the other thing, is that she wasn't feeling a lot of kicks. Like when your
I've heard of
placenta
that.
is in the front, which mine sort of was, but I could still pretty much feel, quite a bit. But sometimes, and she has small babies too.
Yeah, there you go.
So sometimes,
It
like they just
happens.
don't feel, you don't feel the kicks as much, which is just
Wild.
another layer. So yeah, it does happen.
I used to just think that show was so fake. But
They probably had some fake
Basing
people
off
in
of
there.
our previous conversation with my husband setting stuff up,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
would
yeah,
imagine some of it's fabricated,
Yeah, for sure.
but it's happened to 2 people.
Yeah,
We know them
we know.
both,
Yeah,
so.
which is it does happen.
Wild.
That frequent that there's a TV show about it that people are willing to
Yeah.
sign up for. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah, it's also like, how do you get on that show? You probably like then
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, you at
You
that
find out
point.
you're 6 months pregnant, you're like, oh, let me figure out who the
Right,
producer
yeah.
for that show is.
Yeah, it's kind
Like
of
they
odd.
could ever find out or get their contact.
Right. There's a lot of, it's fishy.
Good point.
One of my favorite episodes of, I don't know how we got into reality shows when
No,
we started
it's
this
all good. I
conversation.
love
Yeah,
it.
that's fair. There is a connection there. There is an episode of Naked and Afraid where the snake thing made me think of this, where he struggling to find food, obviously, and he has to like spear this electric eel, and it like is crazy to see because like he's getting electrocuted, but he's so desperate to like get food that he goes through with it. But he tries, I think it was like 2 days in a row to actually get one, and would get electrocuted and couldn't hold on anymore. So it was like you would see it happen multiple times, and then finally he got a good stab and eventually got it, and it like fed him for a while because it was big.
Wild.
And in my head I was like, other than like faking that he was getting electrocuted, like he still killed an animal. Like it was definitely still like he did that. Like how much of that was real? Was it all real? Was it not real? Like was it planted? Like all of those questions. So I think that's why I like that show, because I'm like, there's still something that he's doing that's like super wild that you don't just like
For sure.
go and do. But the snake thing is super funny. And on the flip side of that, I actually had my friend who's a director was telling me about shooting in Georgia, and how, I don't remember what the movie was that she was filming, but it was just like this like calm scene that like had a lake in the background. But then on like behind the camera, they had to have an alligator wrangler because there wasn't supposed to be any alligators in this, lake. It was, I don't even think it was set in Georgia. So it was like,
Right.
there was like this alligator that just was like always around and off camera. So you've like have the camera filming the scene, and this wrangler's whole job was to keep the alligator from, because they couldn't like kill it or relocate it. It was protected area. So they had to, he was feeding him meat and also trying to keep him from like making any noises. And so you see like the camera, right? The scene is happening and it would constantly get disrupted. But you see the scene happening, and then there's just this like alligator wrangler.
Just a resident
Giant alligator just like getting
lives
fed
on set.
on the side. Yeah.
In this particular set.
Yeah. And they had snake watch a lot. And so like you think of things like Walking Dead being filmed in Georgia in the heat of summer.
Yeah.
Snakes, mosquitoes,
Oh, yeah.
everything that you can think of. And just in general, sweat. Exactly.
Oh,
Or that poor extras that have so much zombie makeup on them and like,
yes.
like it's miserable.
Sweating.
Um,
Southern heat.
Yeah, I used to live in Tennessee.
Oh, man.
So there's just, you have challenges, and there's always something that's definitely not real. That's definitely something that
course.
is a common thread.
Of course.
Anyways,
We got sidetracked.
we did get sidetracked. But it's in general, overall, very nice to meet women like you who are not only
Likewise.
like grinding and building something in an industry that is not very established yet, and in so many ways we're becoming a part of history,
Yeah,
which
absolutely.
is super cool. So lovely to meet you in person finally and connect that like we're moms, we both
Yeah.
have boys, we're in an industry that a lot of people
moms.
find taboo, and we're making it happen.
We're doing it.
Well-
so are you in all the states?
We are in
Legal states you can
all the
sell
legal
to?
states that we
Yeah.
can be in. We ship to.
Yeah.
We are in 7 states with Total Wine,
Amazing.
and I think
Isn't it
I think
wild?
like 11. Yes,
You're in Total Wine.
we door in Florida, which is one of our biggest markets for our drink in particular. You can DoorDash us
It's
from
in-
Total Wine,
It's amazing.
which is so cool.
It's so cool. It's so wild.
Yeah, like that to me is. I know it was like a big deal when we got to the point where you could order alcohol off
Yeah.
of like, food apps and that sort of thing, but food delivery apps. But this is like crazy.
Huge.
Crazy that Total Wine wanted it in general, and like it being in Bevmo
Huge.
and like stores like that, big chains, and then extra crazy that it's available on something like DoorDash.
It's wild. What's
Totally
funny
here for
is
that.
I'm, in the California rec side,
Yeah.
and when we test out new products, I didn't know this, but we use hemp
Oh, interesting.
because we're all over the state.
Yeah, you
obviously. Like,
can,
I'm in LA.
yeah.
My manager's in Orange County, and then we got our NorCal peeps, yada yada. And so they're shipping samples to us.
Right.
One of our teammates made a joke. It was like we had some new flavor or something, and we all tried it. We're like, "That was amazing!" And he was like, "Did you feel the effects of it?" Everyone's like, "Yeah." And by the way, most people on my team, like, they're drinking that for breakfast, smoking joints for
Right.
breakfast. Like, they are weed connoisseurs,
Yeah.
whether they're smoking, drinking, etc. And he made a joke at the end, and he was like, "That's all hemp, right?" And we're like, "No, it's not." He's like, "How do you think we shipped it to you?" Like, we
You're
have
like,
to follow the rules.
Oh,
Like, a lot
right.
of people don't follow the
I
laws
know.
and the rules in our
Actually, that's also
industry,
something to
but
talk
we
about.
do. We have
Yes.
to.
Yeah.
We want to. And I thought it was crazy. So
Didn't even put that together.
actually feel the effects.
So this is a big part of that education as well,
Yes.
is that there are a lot of people that, take a lot of marijuana in
Mhm.
whatever form and have this feeling of like, oh, Delta 9 or hemp.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not, you don't get the same
It's
high.
not the same.
Or it's not
It's not the
it's
same.
not the same. And it's like, no, that's placebo. That's all in your head.
I thought the same thing
Molecularly,
too.
it's the same.
As a low dose consumer too, I was like,
Right.
"There's no way it's the same. Like, there's no way I'm gonna get high." Like,
I would never know any of this if it wasn't for Taylor, our co-founder, food scientist. But now I know a lot more than I would have ever, pursued.
Yeah.
I think, but the marijuana plant and the hemp plant are sister plants.
mhm.
And the marijuana plant produces more THC than CBD, and the hemp plant produces more CBD than THC. But
Yeah.
molecularly, they're the exact same. Obviously, strains, versions, there's so much that you can do with both plants.
Yes.
But essentially, CBD is the byproduct of the marijuana plant, and vice versa for, or
I love
opposite
that,
for
like,
hemp.
nerdy side.
The nerdy
It's
side
not
of
nerdy,
it,
but
yeah.
I love that stuff. Just
Actually, Vertosa, which we both use.
yeah.
Love Vertosa. Love that company. Love Ben. Like Harold. Like their whole team is super cool. So supportive.
They're so rad.
So, they obviously love Uncle Arnie's. And they've just been so lovely and big cheerleaders for us as well. So it's cool to see a company like that be so, like, obviously it's their whole business, but in general, their standard is so high. And
Yes.
they cover so many more bases than they even actually need to right
Mhm.
now. But that is something that was really important to us. And I know everybody at Uncle Arnie's feels the same, which is we need to set the precedence.
Yes.
We want this to be safe for our consumers. We don't want them to have to second guess anything.
Oh, for
You
sure.
don't do that with alcohol. You realize, what you're taking, but you don't worry of anything being mixed into your, vodka.
Right.
And it should be the same way for our industries. And so ultimately that is our goal. Like we want to create, we were a soft like this, which was the high shelf.
Yes.
We want to be there.
Yeah.
you know? And that is something that is really important, is to like make that the standard. When you see something on the shelf, when you see it in Total Wine, when you see it in your dispensary, you know that there's a standard there that you can trust, that milligram count is correct.
Oh yes.
And that is something that we want. And naturally, not to like diss any company, we won't name names, but ultimately, I think a lot of those businesses that aren't doing it well, or aren't taking the precautions, or are, you know, messing around in the illegal space, those will just naturally fall away.
Of course.
And that's what we want. We want regulation in the right way. We want legislation to be, you know, safe for everybody. You know, it needs to be there for certain reasons.
Completely. We need to get to that next level.
And we're so close.
We are.
We're so close. And there are so many cool companies that truly are doing that and want that. And
completely.
And so that's like we're gonna band together. You know?
Completely.
Yeah.
And those are my clients. So I'm like the top, and not discounting anyone's smaller. I just have the big, huge accounts for California. Yeah. Most of them are in other states as well. And they're the industry leaders. Yeah. They're the ones following the rules. They're the ones paving the way. They're the ones, you know, donating money to get
making
things
stuff happen.
Yeah, they're making stuff happen. Exactly. Yeah. So it's really cool to see, honestly. And full disclosure, I wasn't a part of that, you know, 15, 20 years ago.
Right.
So thank you for paving the way. And it's just really cool to see, honestly. And I can't wait for that next step in our industry. Yeah. We deserve it.
We do deserve it.
Yes.
And it'll be a good one. And ultimately, it's good for other people.
Yes, it is. It absolutely is.
When you break it down, it shouldn't be a hard sell.
Yeah.
It's like taking all of those years of like
well, and beverage is so interesting too, because these younger kids, they're not drinking alcohol anymore.
It's great.
Right?
For lots of reasons.
They're not, which is great.
Yeah.
But I'm hearing it every day. Like there's you know, without naming names, like a lot of between investors and CEOs or, you know, CFOs, whatever, they all came from these big alcohol companies, and they're moving over to cannabis. Yeah. Which is wild.
So I'm proud of the next generation when it comes to that.
Me too.
What I will say, I'm going to call all of you Gen Zers out here. I love that they're not drinking as much alcohol. I think that's really cool. And I feel like they also prioritize a lot of mental health and like wellness in general that previous generations did not.
Yes.
But there is a trend that's happening, and I'm mad about it, which is smoking cigarettes.
Really?
Smoking cigarettes are coming back.
I didn't know that.
And I hate that. And I'm going to call out our industry, because all of a sudden, models, your favorite celebrities, people that you look up to are starting to be okay with smoking, like pictures at events. And I'm like, we fought so hard
I was going to say that,
to stop this habit. And that is my issue, is that it's not something that can just be like trendy for a second. Because when somebody starts smoking it, we saw this with vapes, it's addicting.
Yeah.
And it's not something that is just like cool for this picture or cool because this model is smoking, and like the trend, you know, fades and you move on. For a lot of people, that is not the reality.
Oh, for sure. They're going to be affected.
And
for many
young
years.
kids, you know.
I did not know that.
So that's annoying.
Wild. I'm not here to judge, but I don't like that.
Yeah. So like, yeah, they might not be drinking alcohol. They might not be taking 10 shots at the bar, but they're smoking outside, and that's fucked up. So,
yikes. Hey, Gen Zers.
Yeah. So I'm going to call you out for that. Yeah. So that's,
Save your lungs,
and I thought I was imagining it. I really did. But now I'm traveling to different states. I'm like, no. This is not just LA. This is not just like in West Hollywood. This is not just, it's not isolated. I'm seeing it everywhere, and it's really not okay. So I'm going to call that out. Not that I have much of effect on that, but just so you know, that's not cool. But the alcohol side of it, that is great.
Yeah.
And you do see not only big people in alcohol companies, but distributors from the alcohol industry. And that's really, I mean, what is so awesome. Like we need that.
Yeah.
We need those lines basically. And so I'm excited for that. I think this next year is going to be pretty significant, this year, next year.
think so too.
And we'll see.
I remember growing up, I grew up in Seattle. You had to buy alcohol in a liquor store.
Right. A
Do you
lot
remember-
of
was
states
that-
are still
okay.
like that.
Oh, they are?
They are.
Okay. But I remember when that was no longer a thing and you could buy it at the market.
Right.
So I'm just hoping it's just that next
Ooh,
step for our
actually,
industry.
let's talk about this.
Okay.
I haven't talked about this on my podcast yet.
Okay.
So 2 things that definitely still happens in other states. I only know
What?
that because I believe Tennessee and Colorado, that's still the case
Okay.
for alcohol. And that was always annoying in my mind. I'm like, I don't want to go like out of my Costco just to go into the liquor store next door because now
Right.
I've got my kid with me. It'd be much easier to just grocery shop like normal to buy some wine.
Right.
Like those are the things that are kind of weird about that.
Well, it just turns to be inconvenient. Yeah.
Exactly. Main thing is it's inconvenient.
Yeah.
But it's a cool thing in California called the hemp ban. That is what I feel like is so frustrating about how your general, citizen is viewing this category, because if it's not something that they're used to, that they're educated in, now we have somebody saying this is terrible and this is marketed to your kid and it shouldn't be around.
Oh, right.
And what's frustrating to me about that is that it was a very misleading ban here. And I say that because if we truly were next to the sodas in Target, there would be an argument for that. But up until that point, cannabis beverages were not.
Mm-hmm.
The ones that were hemp-based in California were in your Total Wine, in your BevMo, a place where your discretion is to bring a minor in there, or as a minor, walk into Total Wine, but you have to show your ID to purchase it.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way about it, or no way around it. This is a liquor store. What you're purchasing, whether it's cannabis, whether it's wine, whether it's beer, whatever it is,
Cigarettes,
you show your
whatever.
ID. Cigarettes, it doesn't matter. It's a vice store in reality. And if you are bringing a minor in there, or, for whatever reason, it's not just like that access that you have at Target or Gelson's or wherever you shop. So that made me mad, because that is a flat out lie to someone that's not educated.
Completely.
It is a complete lie. But you can buy your warhead flavored popsicles next to the regular popsicles, except your warhead flavored popsicles have vodka in them. So that makes sense.
Really?
Yeah. So you have flavors that are naturally like kid loved. That's not a great sentence. There are flavors that are like even like, what is that one? There's like a Fruity Pebbles vodka as well.
Sure.
But regardless, you have a vodka popsicle, even if it was just strawberry flavored, next to your regular popsicles. And so that's where I'm frustrated.
That's not right.
Where it's like, yeah, as long as the cashier is paying attention, they still have to show an ID to purchase those popsicles.
Right.
But it either needs to be nothing as a vice is next to any sort of regular product, or we create the same standard for both cannabis and alcohol and cigarettes.
Completely agree.
There should be no gray area there. Because if you're going to make a rule like that you're marketing something that's supposed to be over 18 or over 21 to a child, or to purchase, then it needs to be blanketed, not one or the other.
Completely.
And that's where I want things to change is, as a hemp-derived company in a lot of states, you can't sell in a dispensary.
Right.
So then it just obviously gets banned everywhere. And there was a lot of companies that were really harmed by that, which is really frustrating. Ones that have been around for a while. We were lucky in that way where we were just about to enter the retail market in California. And so it didn't really affect us. We hadn't put in a lot of money to market here.
Good.
We hadn't done that. But a lot of companies had. And
It sucks.
And it really sucks.
Yeah.
Really sucks to get to that place where you're in a Total Wine.
Yeah.
And it's amazing.
Huge accomplishment.
Huge accomplishment. And then it should just be like,
They just pull it off.
take it
under
away.
you.
So that's annoying to me. And I, eventually that will change. And I do think that we are headed in the right direction. But those quick changes where your consumer isn't really sure and it makes them scared for no reason with that double standard is just infuriating.
Couldn't agree more.
So yeah, that's where we're at.
Let's run for government next.
Right? No, I have no interest in that at all.
Same.
But in your department, you're also navigating those things. How has that been, with whatever you do or don't want to share, as far as like, that must be frustrating for you because you have to fight hard to like keep accounts happy and make sure that you're staying within what you're supposed to and up to regulation and all that stuff.
Yeah, completely. But I mean, luckily, like we were saying earlier, our company does such a great job at making
They
sure
really do.
everything is fully compliant,
Yeah.
following the rules. We have a whole QC team just for quality control, just with flavors alone.
Yeah.
The nice part is, we're in all these different states. We manufacture in different states. So there's someone that goes around and literally
Make
make
sure.
sure everything tastes as similar as it can.
Right.
Full disclosure, I haven't been to every state and tried Uncle Arnie's in every state.
You don't need to anymore.
Obviously,
Okay.
I don't have to because
Yeah.
we have a fabulous QC person.
Yeah.
But that's cool too because we want to create a consistent message as a
Yeah.
brand for our clients that do go from state to state.
Right.
I had, in fact, one of our reps from Minnesota, I think. He's in LA right now, just on vacation. And he was like, we're going to get some Uncle Arnie's.
It's great.
Like, first of all, everywhere.
Yeah.
Every dispensary. Almost every dispensary. But
It's a great company.
Yeah, it's one and the same. So that's not a challenge for me.
Yeah.
We follow the compliance rules. We have to, the laws. We have to, and that's it.
Yeah.
Easy peasy.
Yeah. It's trippy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
It will be wonderful one day when we just move to that next level of
And all the rules are the same.
Yeah.
Because I think that's the other thing that's frustrating is like, I totally understand a state by state thing, like it's okay. We'll deal with it. But the marijuana versus hemp, those different laws are really frustrating and trying to figure out
and they
where you land
change so often.
Yeah.
At least on my side.
Yeah.
They change so often. So it's hard to,
Yeah.
stay up
Yeah,
to
exactly.
speed.
You have to have a team
Yeah.
that is on top of it.
Yeah.
Um,
I know.
yeah,
Oh,
but we're
good
doing it.
times.
We're
Yes, we
figuring it
are.
out.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, 30 people or
Paving the way.
7 people, we're doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's great.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Well,
No complaints.
I so appreciate you.
Likewise.
And
Thank you.
you're welcome anytime.
Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate you.
Thanks. So are you.
Easy peasy.
Bye.
All right.